We're going to be talking about how do you stop comparing yourself to others. And this is something that I've struggled with a whole lot. And I'm not going to say I am perfect at it. There's still times that I will struggle with this, but recently I've just noticed that I don't struggle with it as much anymore. And I'm going to go through a couple of things that have helped me start to work out of this. So we're going to go ahead and dive right into it. Welcome to the Daily Effort Podcast. My name is Sam, and if it's your first time listening, welcome. If you've listened before, welcome back. The whole purpose of this podcast is really to uncomplicate success for the everyday person and to really make sure that I'm giving you the things that you need to know to set yourself up for success in life. And I still have a long ways to go with things that I have to learn, but I've learned some things along my just short 30 years so far in this life. And I want to just share the things from my own experience so that you can hopefully take some things, apply to your life, and get a little closer to the level of success that you actually want, whatever success looks like to you. And really, as I continue to go, because there's a lot of goals that I'm continuing to push for, I'm going to continue to share the things that I do and that work for me along the way. Also share some things that don't work for me so that you can make sure that you don't make the mistakes I made, but then also use the things that work for me and continue to set yourself up for success. Now, if it's your first time listening, I know you might not know how many times I roll out episodes for the Daily Effort Podcast. I'm always going to roll out an episode every single Monday at 5 a.m. Central Time. I'll put it out on Spotify, YouTube, and also the Apple Podcast platform. And my only ask is, if you get value from an episode, just share it. Share it on social media, share it with a friend. You can text it to them or just share it with them in person. I would greatly appreciate that. It always means a lot to me. I know there are several of you who are out there continuously doing that, and it's just really, really cool to see. I know, Stacy, you're one of them, so that means so much to me for you just shouting out the last episode with your takeaways and everything like that. It's just something that's awesome to see, because I understand that I'm an everyday person that is continuing to work to get better and better and better. So when I see someone share some stuff, it's always just really cool, because I'm just sharing what works for me, and I'm glad some of you are able to actually get value from it. Now, today, what I'm diving into, I would say it's a popular topic from the standpoint, I would say everybody really struggles with it, because we're going to be talking about how do you stop comparing yourself to others. And this is something that I've struggled with a whole lot. And I'm not going to say I am perfect at it. There's still times that I will struggle with this, but recently I've just noticed that I don't struggle with it as much anymore. And I'm going to go through a couple of things that have helped me start to work out of this. So we're going to go ahead and dive right into it. First thing that I notice is, especially when I look back, when I would compare myself to other people, it happened when, especially when I first got to First Form and started working there's obviously people that are doing very well there, and I would be like, well, man, they are there, I am here. How, like what the heck, basically? And am I missing something? What's going on? And what I started to recognize is anytime I was comparing myself to someone else, I was always taking my eyes off of what I should be doing. Anytime I was focused and comparing myself to someone else, I was not focused on doing my job well and also getting better. And you really can't. I'm not going to say you can't. That's a complete absolute. But it's very difficult if you're focused on someone else and constantly comparing yourself to continue to get better. Now, I do believe comparison isn't necessarily a bad thing, because a lot of people will say comparison is a thief of joy. And yes, I would agree if you do it in the wrong way. But I know I can compare myself to people and really look at someone that is where I want to be and be like, okay, well, what are the things that they do very well? And then what are the things that I do well that is in their, also the skill sets that they have, which will be important if I'm wanting to get there. But then what are the things that they do well that I don't do well? And how can I start to improve upon those things? Because if I want to be where they are, well, then I have to get better at those skill sets. And in my opinion, that level of comparison is not a bad thing. But most of the time, as individuals, it's just very easy to start looking at someone else and maybe have jealousy or ask yourself the question, well, why are they there and I am not there? And the truth is, most of the time, if someone is where you want to be, it's because they have been working longer than you at something. And then also they're just better than you. Like, let's be real. They're just better than you. Now, I know that's a blanket statement, and sometimes that might not be true. However, most of the time it is. Like if someone is in a certain position ahead of you, well, they're probably just a little bit better. And look, that's okay, because the beautiful thing is, if they're better in a certain area, that means it's a certain skill set. And here's what I know about skill sets. They can be developed, so that means you can get there too. But that's the first thing that always just jumps out to me. If I look back over the times where I was comparing myself to other people, I was automatically just not focused on how can I get better? How can I improve? How can I be an asset to the team? How can I be of use to people around me? The person that I'm comparing myself to, is there a way that I can help them and help them move forward and get better as well? Those are all things I was not looking at when I was comparing myself to someone else, because I just was not focused on where are the areas that I can improve. And the other thing that I think about as well when it comes to the comparison piece here, well, most of the time from what I have seen, yes, the person has better skill sets, but also if you are saying, well, why are they there and I'm not there? The jealousy piece is not a great thing, because what this can start to take you down, or what path it can start to take you down, is a path of negativity. And that is not a great thing, because you will be of no value to really almost anybody or any organization if you're a very negative person. None of us like to be surrounded by negative people. And from what I have seen, comparing yourself to other people in a bad way, well, that can start to take you down that path. And that just makes you very difficult to be around. And it's not fun for anybody. And it's also not fun for yourself, because you're just really unhappy. So if you catch yourself comparing yourself to someone else, check to see, well, have I taken my eye off the ball? Like, have I taken my eye off of what is my job and how I can actually improve? And I'll give one last example, then I'll move into a couple of other things. But when I was back playing rugby at Mississippi State, well, it was very easy for me to, when I first got onto the team, compare myself to the captain of the team, be like, oh man, well, why can't I be there? He's really not that much better than me. It's like, I could do that. When in reality, he had far better skill sets than I did. And what started to happen, I started to miss areas that I could really improve. And I also missed an opportunity to ask him, hey, how can I be better? Can you help me? Like, what are the areas that I can improve on so I can be a better asset to the team, better asset to the rugby team, so that we can go out and just win? I miss out on that opportunity. So comparing yourself to other people in a negative fashion just completely robs you of so many opportunities. And one of them, and the biggest one I would say, is the opportunity to get better. Then a couple other things that really the second thing I would say when it comes to what will happen if you're comparing yourself to other people, what I've seen is most of the time, and this goes for myself, if you are comparing yourself in that way to someone else, you're kind of insecure and you really don't trust yourself that much. You're not comfortable in your own skin. And I know at some points we might not say verbally out loud that, well, why is that person there, or why do they get that and I don't? But we might think it. And if we think it, well, then it's still just as bad. We don't have to verbalize it to still do the comparison game, because most of the time when we're comparing, it is internal. It is in our mind where we're doing that quick comparison constantly, and that's still just as bad. But it just shows that you don't trust yourself, because if someone gets something that is ahead of you, or someone wins something that you want, well, if you are really secure and you trusted in your abilities, well, then you'd be really happy for the person because you would know your time is coming. So if you are getting frustrated because someone is getting something, or you're comparing yourself to someone else and being like, well, why them instead of me? Well, then you just don't trust your ability to eventually achieve that later on down the road. And that's one thing that I just noticed within myself, and I really had to work on that piece. But then also some of the things that I wrote down is, and I've touched on this a couple times, but if you're comparing yourself to someone else, you have to remember that they just have skill sets that are better than yours, most likely. And you would be better off asking that person, hey, how did you get good at that? And humbling yourself and submitting your ego. Just go ahead and ask, because then that means you will get better faster. And the truth is, you will actually progress probably faster than they did if you just take some time to ask them, because you'll get to learn from their mistakes and also learn from their successes. So it would behoove you just to make that person your friend. And that's one of the biggest tips that I can give. So just recapping really quick before I move on to a couple other things. Number one, if you are doing the comparison game, well, then it really shows you're not focused on yourself. Number two, it is showing you that you don't trust in your own abilities, you're insecure, you're not comfortable in your own skin. Third, you just have to remember that that person has skill sets that you don't have as of yet, or maybe their skill sets are just better than yours, and you would just be better off going and talking to the person and just learning from them so that you can progress forward. Fourth thing that I have when it comes to the comparison game, as far as why it's really not a good thing, and I'll get to, well, how do you start to work out of the comparison game here in a second. But one of the things as to why it's not great is because it will rob you of having awesome relationships with people. Because a lot of the times the people that are in front of you and the people that are doing better, they're really good people. They're not bad people most of the time. So you should get to know them and build that relationship, because at some point down the road, you're probably going to be able to help them, and they're for sure going to be able to help you. So by doing the comparison game, you'll just rob yourself of building relationships. And then the fifth and final thing that I'll say is you'll just rob yourself of recognizing what is truly reality. Because when you play the comparison game, it's really quick to tell yourself that, well, I'm just as good as that person, I should be there, when in reality, that's probably not true. And you're taking yourself and you're spinning yourself really on a false reality. And when you spin yourself on a false reality and you don't know for sure what is actually true, and you're not just looking at the facts, well, then that makes it very difficult for you to move forward and reach the goals that you actually want. So there's multiple reasons why the comparison game is not a great thing to be doing. Now, how do you stop doing it? That is a big question. And one of the big things, and this is probably not something that most people want to hear, in my opinion, one thing that truly does help with it is time. Time does help with learning to not to compare yourself to other people. And in my opinion, I do believe it is a age thing at times. You just start to mature and get out of your own way. But time, there is a time piece. But then the second thing that I really recommend is run your own race. Run your own race. Because if you're comparing yourself to someone else, well, then the truth is you might think you should go down that path, and you think you might want to go in the direction that they're going, but as you start to go, you might see that it's truly not what you want, or honestly, it might not be right for you. For example, I always wanted to have a platform where I could inspire people to go out and live a better life and reach a certain level of success that they personally wanted. And for me, I thought the vehicle I was going to go do that in originally was football. I was really focused on going pro. And then that did not happen. And not just because I broke my leg, my skill set sucked. But at the time I didn't realize that. Again, spun myself on a false reality. But the thing is, that didn't happen for me. But looking back, I see that going pro and just playing football in the NFL would not have been a good thing for me, because I would probably have gotten into a lot of trouble. I would not have been as great a person of character. I would not have met Amy, and I would not have Layla. I would not have come out to first form, most likely. There's so many things that would not have happened. I can just look back and see how God really laid out the steps for me to follow, and really just dumped it in my lap, so to speak. And I'm super thankful, because honestly, I didn't listen to him too well. And I'm very, very grateful for that. But that wasn't the path for me. And I needed to learn how to run a different race and run my own race. And well, you need to learn how to run your own race. And how you can run your own race is when you see yourself starting to compare yourself to other people, the question that you can automatically pose to yourself to stop the comparison is, okay, well, what are they doing good that I could learn from, and really start to work to have the same skill set? That's the first thing I'll ask, is what skill sets does that person have that I do not as of yet, or maybe they're not strong, and then how can I start to develop them? Then the second question I'll always pose to myself if I see myself comparing is, okay, how can I be better? What is my goal right now? Where am I personally going? And that's one of my favorite questions. Anytime I feel like I'm lost, or there's a lot of things going on, or I'm whatever it is, I will always ask myself, what's my goal right now? Where am I going? How can I be better? How can I continue to move towards this at the rate that I want, or speed that rate up? And then immediately it focuses me on my journey and what I'm trying to do, and allows me to just settle in and run my own race. So run your own race. Like, don't compare yourself to other people unless you're going to do it in a productive manner. If it is not a productive manner, well, then you should not do it. It does not serve you in any type of way. And it's so easy for us to do little things like this that just truly don't serve us and move us forward, but we just do it all the time. And the sooner we learn to stop doing these things, the sooner we're going to be able to settle in and start to go in the right direction. Because it's little things like this that will just trip us up for longer than it really needs to. If I look back, and if I would have learned how to work out of something like this sooner, then I would have been far better off, and I would have probably progressed forward at a far faster rate. And also, when I was playing the comparison game, most of the time I was truly just wanting the recognition when, well, I wasn't deserving of that recognition as of yet. And a lot of times I'd start to chase that recognition because I played the comparison game, and then it just didn't pan out the way that I wanted. So in my opinion, don't chase the recognition. Chase to be the best version of yourself, and chase the goals that you personally want. Recognition will come. If you're truly the best at what you do, then that recognition will come. And that's always the thing that I remind myself of if I see myself getting caught up in the recognition game. Well, I'm like, okay, well, that'll come. I don't need that right now. I'm not deserving of that as of yet. When I am deserving of it, it will happen. It will happen in the right time, and I don't need to worry about that. So to really recap everything and close this out, when it comes to playing the comparison game, number one, remember, anytime you do this, you're not focusing on yourself. The second thing I'll say, it just shows that you lack trust in yourself. You're insecure, you're not comfortable in your own skin. It holds you back from building a relationship. It holds you back from developing skill sets. You start to spin yourself on something that is not really reality. And there's many other things I could go down the list and talk about when it comes to the comparison game, but truly it will just take you off in a direction that is not great, and you can end up becoming a bitter person, a negative person, and not having the life that you want. So to work out of this, the best way to do this is, remember, if you catch yourself starting to compare and asking yourself, well, why are they there and I am not there? You need to immediately stop and ask yourself, well, what are the skill sets that they have that maybe I don't have or I'm weak at? And how can I start to develop them? Second question you can start to ask yourself is, well, what's my goal right now? What am I working on? What am I working towards? How can I be better? That is automatically the question I always will come back to, always pose myself. And then, it's really not a bad thing to have a little bit of a chip on your shoulder at times. I do believe having a chip on your shoulder is a good thing, and having a little bit of that mentality of, well, I will show them that I'm going to be able to do this. It's okay to have a little bit of that, not too much of it. There's a dichotomy to it, but it's okay to have a little bit of it, because I know that has helped propel me forward and keep me going at times when maybe I lost sight of my why, or really some of the goals that I was working towards. So that's not a bad thing either. But that's really what I have for y'all. If y'all have questions on this, let me know. I understand the comparison side of things. It does take time, like I said, to work through this. It has taken me time. It still creeps back up. I'm not perfect at it, but these are things that I do that have dramatically to cut down on the amount of times I do the comparison game. And it has helped me move forward at a better rate and keep things simple, keep life simple. And that's really, at the end of the day, one of the best things that can happen. So again, if I can help y'all with this, please let me know. But other than that, have a fantastic rest of y'all's day. Have a great week, and God bless.